Welcome to FlexiTalent IT Department's Introduction to qdPM, the project management tool. Before we start, a quick background about why we are using qdPM. On the QAD website, there are many references to building an effective manufacturing enterprise, which is what we are striving to achieve here at FlexiTalent. From an IT perspective, the recipe for effectiveness translates to successful projects with three components: technology, people, and process. Implementing QAD will help us achieve this goal. Consider how we are currently exchanging information via email. Email is a poor choice for threaded discussions. Furthermore, when building a dynamic team, the introduction of a new team member often poses big problems for the onboarding process. qdPM will make the onboarding of a new team member a breeze. qdPM will also allow for increased communications and collaboration with the business units, which is the exact synergy IT is looking for. Now, before we actually show you how to use the tool, we'd like to discuss a few points about the qdPM tool that we have discovered as we were trialing the software. Now, qdPM is an open source tool which is currently free. There is a paid version, but we have chosen to implement the free version at this point in time. It is what we consider an 80% solution for what we're trying to accomplish here at FlexiTalent. Throughout this presentation, we'll be talking about how to use the tool versus principles of good project management, which is really our brand of project management. The qdPM tool is mostly bug-free, as we have been able to generate projects and tasks, and is currently being used by the IT department. Throughout the tool, you will see that the tool is extremely customizable. So feel free to ask us separately about the customizations we have made in order to make the tool work for us. qdPM allows for different types of users, and it is customizable. What we have done is define the following. We've defined the role of a project lead, a vendor consultant, a consultant manager, a designer, a developer, a staff manager, and a manager. Now, how your dashboard or how your software operates will depend on which role you have been assigned. And depending on your role, you'll be able to see projects that are assigned to you versus projects that you have created. At a very high level, what you will see is a few menu items. These are dashboard, the projects, the tasks, discussions, and reports. There are one or two other menu items that you will see on the top level menu bar. These are items that we have chosen not to implement, in particular tickets. So the qdPM software is actually very, very flexible. It is used in very many companies, including Rio Tinto, the minerals and mining company. And here at FlexiTalent, we have chosen to use it as more a project management tool versus a ticket handling system. So when you first log into the system, you will see a screen much like this, and it is actually the dashboard screen. We will talk about configuring the dashboard a little bit later. The high-level items that I've just mentioned are situated at the top of the menu bar. From a project's perspective, we're going to go ahead and drill down and look at all the projects that are available to your particular role. Now, bear in mind that these are both assigned as well as projects that you have created. The first thing that I will talk about is the fact that there is this status button in the top left hand corner. Notice that if you click on all of them, you will see the extent of all projects that you have in its various statuses listed. Now, in order to add a project, there's the add project button, but in particular, we'll click on add a project, but we'll talk about project statuses for a second. Now, a project can be of the following statuses. It can be open, or it could be in a stage where we are currently gathering requirements for the project. Project could be in progress. Upon successful completion, it would be closed in a status with a status of completed successfully. For various reasons, if a project is on hold or canceled, or it could be that for various reasons it is stalled, waiting on certain other requirements, perhaps budget. In any case, to add a project, the add project button is to your top left hand corner. Let's go ahead and look at a particular project at this point in time by clicking on the edit button. This is one that we've set up as a sample project. So notice that there are some defaulted values. Now, we here at Flexitalic IT were particularly paying attention to the type of project, which we have defined as either departmental, QAD related, or general support in nature. And then for IT in particular, we have IT internal projects, essential services projects, and then just overall corporate maintenance type projects. So as you create a project, it may default to one of these values. Project status, it always defaults to open, and then the name of the project is typed there. We are ignoring the next few fields because we're not using it to its in its entirety. Now in the description field, we are trying to list various requirements for this project, at least a project requirement statement, which consists of the background, and then listing, say, the project sponsor, and then the scope of the scope of the project. The last thing about projects, we will talk a little bit about how you traverse and view your various projects. Well, obviously we've shown you the view all option, but in particular there's a little trick here as far as the status button. We've noticed that if you do X out of the status button, you will be able to see all your projects, which can be quite confusing. So this is the X out button. If we click on that, it will actually then show all your projects. Otherwise, it may constrain your view to where you're only seeing open projects. So please take note of that as a tip. Now, if you're trying to add team members to your project, you can do this at the time of creating a project, when you're adding a project, or when you are editing a project, at the project attributes. Notice there's a tab called Team, and this should be an extensive list of everyone that is currently assigned a login to the system. So if you're creating a project and you're adding a team member and you notice that that person is not on the list, let us know, and we can create that person's user account, which will require basically an email, and we will assign them a starter password. The system, the qdPM system, will then send an email out informing the person that they now have a qdPM login, and they'll be able to log into the system. And of course, their name would then show up on this list for you to then add to your project. The last tab on that list is the attachments tab, and this is useful at a project level where you may be wanting to attach various documents that perhaps would form the overall project requirements. So the team and the attachments go along with your various attributes to define at a high level what your project is all about. Next, we will click on a project to reveal details about that particular project from the project listing. The project screen is basically a summary of all the tasks that that make up the project. Notice on the left corner at the one level below the top level menu is a button called Project Info. Now, Project Info is a quick summary view of the various description items that you have entered, and then the attachments that you have placed with this project. Basically, all of this then make up the project requirements. There is also the ability to add a comment. So how we are using the comments at a project level is to be able to then provide any sort of changes to the requirements or any high-level project-related information that has changed from the original requirements when they were gathered or when the project had started. So to the right of the status line, there is a link called More Info, and it is a little bit confusing, but it's actually two of this very same information. As you can see, two buttons, two links that has similar functionality. So whenever you are reviewing the project requirements, you can either click on Project Info or More Info. And then of course, if you're editing those details, which is your original description section, you can click on Edit, and you have the ability to use a full screen editor with the bolding, underlining, and such. Next, we'll look at how tasks are defined underneath projects. Now, tasks, of course, can be, you can add or edit a task. Here at Flex IT, we are getting into the habit of numbering our tasks that are listed within a project, and this provides an idea of the sequence of tasks that need to occur as the project progresses. With our tasks, we have created statuses that mimic the project level statuses. So a task can be open, or it can be in requirements gathering mode. Task could be in progress, or it could be stalled as an open task. Now, if a project is then closed, it can be closed as completed successfully, or it can be closed as a canceled task. The description of the task, of course, is a spot where you place the details of this task, and we are utilizing the comments section to note the progression of this task as issues and feedback or problems occur relating to the execution of the task. A task will also, you can assign the task to a particular team member, or you can tag a task within a task group. So let's take a look at this real quickly. So in order to view all your tasks, again, from the projects menu item, we click on view all, which is all the projects, and we click on a particular project, which then should reveal all the project tasks listed for this, or that have been defined for this project. Notice again that it comes up with this status filter, which our tip and suggestion is to then X on it in order, click on the X in order for you to reveal all the tasks that have been defined. So we notice that the filter was hiding the completed tasks. So by removing the status button, we see that tasks 1 through actually 1 and 3 have been completed, and we're currently working on task 2 for this particular project. If we click on edit, we see some of the items that we talked about a while ago. The fact that you can assign the task, you can change the status of the task. The sequence number, of course, was something that we had predetermined before we had started on the particular project. But it's just as easy if you are in the process of defining your task, then the numbering can change easily, because the system really has no concept of these numbers that are being assigned. Then as the task is progressing, our best practice case is to then add comments to the task. So the comments would suggest items that have changed or issues that have changed. And if you look at this particular example, what we've done is in the course of this particular project, various emails have been written on the topic, and in order to keep everything together, we have simply cut and pasted some of the emails, the pertinent emails that would provide a overall picture of where this project is progressing. So we see that when the step 2 is done, we will be moving towards actually step 4 and 5. So the task groups is the last item to discuss here. And what task groups does is it provides an ability to add some tagging of a set of tasks. So let's say we are attempting to tag a set of tasks as with the topic of failover. So we come back to tasks, and let's say we tag a particular task by editing it, and you'll notice pull down on group, tag it, and it then gives you this overall view that a set of tasks have to do with a particular topic. So that's in a nutshell how the qdPM software works. So in working with qdPM, we've noticed a few quirks about the software that were particularly more annoying than others. In particular, at the dashboard project level, we were unable to see the latest task or the latest comment or discussion whenever we looked at the view of all the projects. And this makes gauging the progress of each project a little bit more challenging, especially in cases where you have several projects that you're trying to coordinate and manage. We've brought this up with the software author, but it being an open source tool, there are no promises or guarantees that he would answer in any particular time frame. Also, when reviewing projects, notice that the details of the project are not immediately displayed, and unless you click into the project info button, um, you basically get no sense of the overall project requirements. Again, that is a minor quirk. We've learned to work around it by explaining that you would have to click on the project info to get the latest changes in requirements, or if there are any comments that were added to it. So, in conclusion, if you have any other questions regarding the tool, feel free to send them on to achong@fluxitalic.com. We'll attempt to answer your questions based on our experience and knowledge of working with the tool, or if it is something more appropriate, we would basically send it on to the qdPM software tool author, hoping that he would answer it in a particular time frame. So, in conclusion, this qdPM tool is all about communicating and collaborating, and we hope that as a result of it, you would have successful projects and a happy end result with your work.